And
Yep.
you know, it's special.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, this whole lineage, you know, it's a powerful, powerful, shining lineage, and it's passed on,
Yeah.
continuous, and now here you are. And I remember Nisargadatta Maharaj, he said that the Inchigiri and Navna Sampradaya was like the river, and it just carried you. So all of us have just been carried in this river. Very beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, John, I was thinking when you were talking that, you know, talking about talking to yourself, and that the self has been running this whole your whole journey. I think there's an echo here, but I don't know what's going on. But anyway, but it seems like all of life is like that. But I'm just wondering, you know, it just became apparent, you know, this when you did the surrender and you said, you know, you kind of made this declaration. I'm on this. I don't care about anything else. This is it.
Absolutely.
And it seems like, okay, then the divine or what seems, even though it's not separate, it listens to that and says, okay, you know what, this is, then it opens up the way.
Absolutely.
But for the average person,
devotion.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's when we get out of the way, it has an opportunity to flow.
Yeah.
And, yeah, the ceaseless devotion. It's so very important. And like Maharaj always says, you take one step and he takes the other one. Not he, Sri Ramakant Maharaj in the body form. Maharaj, the selfless self. The selfless self, when you take one step, that selfless self is absolutely ready to take the next step. This is the whole time. You're inviting the attention of the invisible listener. And while there's an idea that there's a separate something, you surrender that self. And then when you start to see without individuality and you see the lens of how it really is, the total manifestation, and that it's just the total functioning. There is no individual functioning. It is the total functioning. You start to see in this way, and you'll see more and more and more. And you'll see that everything is leading in this way because you're not looking at it as an individual anymore.
That's the tough nut to crack, the individuality.
But it's not true.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it's absolutely not true. And if you mantra, you'll definitely see it's not true. If you continuously mantra every time a sense of an I am somebody else starts to form, you'll see there's just no individuality. And practice, like Maharaj says, have courage. The next time you're in a crowd, and I speak about this all the time on the train, I love this. When somebody's pushing or shoving or stepping on your foot, and the mind was to say, hey, even if you look that person in the eyes, you absolutely know, but there's not anything in there that can do anything. So why to do anything other than just move on? It's the mind that wants to say that something's happened and some offense has occurred from somebody outside, but it's just not true.
It's almost like, you know, like I get the sense sometimes it's like waves. There comes a wave where the individuality dissolves, and then everything is really, you know, it's everything is myself, you know, or everything is. There's just no, as you say, there's no distinctions. There's no somebody. Exactly. And then when that wave moves, there's another wave of maybe individuality, and you feel the difference. It's just this stark contrast between these movements of, you know, there's nobody, and then there is this somebody, and there's these many somebodies, kind of like, it's just this kind of, you know, like that's what I've been experiencing, just this kind of movement, seeing this juxtaposition of this contrast of
yes,
shifting waves like that.
And you, the selfless self that's not moving, is witnessing all this movement.
Yeah.
That's the key. And we also notice that every time the wave is moving away from individuality, it's because there's no you. See, there can't be other if there's no you. So when you mantra, whenever there's an I am somebody else that's created, then there's no you being created falsely on top of presence. It's just not happening. And without a you, there's no world. It's a bunch of forms moving about, but there's no story of a world or how this affects that or anything. It's just kind of just scenes with absolutely no content whatsoever, except spontaneously in the moment, there seems to be some speaking and some interacting, and maybe you desire a coffee and you go and you get a coffee and you pay for the coffee, but you're not forming an I am somebody else. There doesn't need to be a personal self in anything because it's just not true. And it's so much easier just to discard this idea because a lot of energy is spent in creating this personal self and keeping it going because it is so false. It needs a lot of energy, a lot of attention to continue with this idea of a personal self. And even if you look, the personal self is constantly changing. There's no self that you can say, this is how I am, because you change every moment. In every new experience, something is added on or taken away, and there's a new seeing. So this personal self that you're trying so desperately to cling and put into a box that doesn't exist is spending a lot of energy.